So site feasibility, if you want to develop something, if you want to build something, you've got to do a feasibility study to determine if the site is going to hold the project that you want to build. Just because something is zoned for something doesn't mean you can actually do it. There are lot coverages, setbacks, stormwater, parking, height restrictions, gross floor area ratios, green space, utilities access, vehicle access. There's a lot of things, emergency resource access. So there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration when it comes to site capacity and site feasibility. So the first thing you do, check with the city or county to make sure that you have an understanding of everything that is available to that site from a utilities standpoint in terms of electrical, gas, sewer, water, things like that, and what the requirements are going to be to bring the utilities to the site and where you have to bring them from. That's a big key there. A lot of times people will just call down and the city will say, oh yeah, it's available, but you need to find out where do you have to go to connect. Are they going to bring it to your site? Do you have to go back to a point to connect utilities, and who's going to pay the cost if you do, things like that. So you want to start there with the city to find out those questions, and then just get a general idea to make sure you understand what all of the restrictions are in terms of the capacity. Once you have an idea that you can build what you want to build, then you're going to start with a civil engineer, and you're going to do what's called a site capacity study, and they're going to help you determine what the footprint of your building is going to look like, what kind of capacity the lot has to hold that building. And it can be commercial, residential, multifamily, it can be any type of building. It'll be a site capacity study that they're going to do. And then once you get that done, then you bring the architect and the designers in for the architecturals to design within the footprint that you've established based on your site capacity. So that's basically the process of how site feasibility works when you're trying to determine if you can build what you want to build on a site. You always want to start with that first, because just to make sure that you can build what you want to build, because the zoning, allowable uses by zoning, doesn't always mean you can get what it says you can get. If it says you can get 10 units an acre, 20 units an acre, whatever it is, doesn't always mean you can actually get that done. It just means that the zoning is in place for that allowable use, but you still have to design the project within all of the restrictions in terms of all of those development guidelines in order to reach that maximum density. So that's what development is all about. It's creative. It is creating the most value that you can out of the property. It's getting the most density that you can out of the property, depending on the property. Sometimes that's the best way to go. Sometimes it's not. So you need to understand the market. You need to understand the demand. You need to understand what the highest and best use of the property is, and then follow those steps in your feasibility, and you will be on your path towards a successful development project.